Anything to worry about Vedanta? Vedanta shares declined nearly 9% ahead of 2 billion fundraising. In the news, in the Twitter, social media, all about Vedanta. Indian tycoon in trouble. This is the news from Bloomberg. Some tweet about Vedanta. It says it's deep $8 billion US dollars debt, and the issue related to the zinc. Another tweet on Vedanta about bull bear swing. So this is a letter dated today, 28 February 2023. So it says Vedanta Resources Limited has prepaid all of its maturities due till March 2023. So this is some good news, but not sure how it's going to save the talk that's going on. So this is another tweet from Markets Mozo. So this is another tweet from Summer, the pros and cons here. Last 2 years stock price. There was a fall, steep fall from 440 to 210 in the last year. Around the same time, April, June, July time frame, and it rose from there from July 2022 till 5th first. Then on it started sliding down. Now let us watch the news analysis from the popular business channels CNBC TV 18 and J Business.
लगातार पिछले कुछ दिनों से आज भी मेटल्स में बड़ा ब्रेकडाउन आया। सुबह तो सेटअप ठीक दिख रहा था, उसके बाद सारे स्टॉक्स टूटे हैं और सबसे ज्यादा जो स्टॉक्स टूटा है सिर्फ मेटल्स में नहीं बट पूरे वायदा बाजार में, वो है आपके लिए वेदांता। जरा इसके शेयर को पुल अप करिए। थोड़ी देर पहले 8% नीचे आपको दिख रहा था, अभी भी 6% की गिरावट है। 5 महीने के निचले स्तर पर आ गया है वेदांता। आइए जरा समझते हैं आशीष के साथ कि चल क्या रहा है। आशीष, वैसे तो सारे मेटल्स ही कमजोर हैं बट 2 दिनों में आशीष लगभग 15% ये वेदांता का शेयर टूट चुका है, अगर आज का लो अगर आप काउंट करें। ऐसा क्या हो गया यहाँ पर?
दीपांशु, डेट की चिंता है। काफी सारी रिपोर्ट्स में पढ़ रहा था, जो रिपोर्ट्स बता रही हैं कि यहाँ पर अगर आप देखें, क्योंकि डेट काफी ज्यादा अपैरेंट, अगर आप देखें कंपनी जो है वेदांता रिसोर्सेज, इनके पास $8 बिलियन का भारी भरकम कर्ज है और इनके जो बॉन्ड्स हैं इनमें लगातार आपको गिरावट देखने को मिली और गिरावट काफी ज्यादा है। और इसी के चलते हम देख रहे हैं कि आज स्टॉक प्राइस पर भी इम्पैक्ट है, क्योंकि आप पिछले 10 दिनों में देखें तो यहाँ पर काफी ज्यादा गिरावट है। 3 दिनों में 10% तक जो है बॉन्ड की कीमतें घटी हैं और 1 महीने के हिसाब से भी देखें तो यहाँ पर 15 से 16% का कट यहाँ पर आपको देखने को मिला है। जंक बॉन्ड्स की कैटेगरी में काफी लंबे समय से है वेदांता के बॉन्ड्स, कुछ नया नहीं है। डेट के कंसर्न है, डेट पहले भी था, लेकिन फिलहाल अगर आप देखें तो लोगों को थोड़ी सी टेंशन हो रही है, जिसके चलते यहाँ पर आपको इसके चलते एक इम्पैक्ट देखने को मिला। लेकिन एक और बात यह है कि अभी थोड़े दिन पहले जो स्कीम ऑफ अरेंजमेंट अनाउंस किया था कि वेदांता के जो जिंक असेट्स है वो हिंदुस्तान जिंक में ट्रांसफर किए जाएंगे, इस पे कुछ ऐसी रिपोर्ट्स हैं जो इशारा करें कि सरकार इससे सहमत नहीं और हो सकता है कि आगे ना जाए, इस स्कीम ऑफ अरेंजमेंट जो है वो रद्द हो जाए। इसके चलते भी थोड़ा सा जो है दबाव यहाँ पर बना हुआ है। हालांकि कुछ रिपोर्ट्स मेरे पास ऐसे भी हैं जो एनालिस्ट बता रहे हैं कि अभी तक आप देखें कि वेदांता को भारी भरकम कैश फ्लो जो है मिलता है हिंदुस्तान जिंक से बतौर डिविडेंड के तौर पर, और अब तक की अर्निंग्स के हिसाब से भी अगर यहाँ से थोड़ा सा भी इंप्रूवमेंट होता है तो बहुत कंफर्टेबली जो है, क्योंकि कंपनी के जो स्पोक्स पर्सन है वो भी इशारा कर रहे हैं कि अपने डेट को सर्विस बड़ी आसानी से कर पाएंगे। और एनालिस्ट जो बुलिश है वो इसकी वैल्यूएशन का भी हवाला दे रहे हैं, क्योंकि आप देखें फिलहाल से 4 टाइम्स ईवी एबिटा पर ट्रेड कर रहा है, तो वैल्यूएशन के हिसाब से सस्ता है स्टॉक। कैश फ्लोज के इतने ज्यादा कंसर्न नहीं है क्योंकि डिविडेंड काफी बढ़िया मिलता है, लेकिन क्योंकि हिंदुस्तान जिंक के साथ जो स्कीम ऑफ अरेंजमेंट है वो फिलहाल लटका हुआ है, मेटल की कीमतों में गिरावट है और बॉन्ड्स में जो गिरावट आ रही है, इसके चलते आज स्टॉक में हमने बड़ा रिएक्शन देखा है।
इनके बॉन्ड प्राइसेस कुछ बात कर रहे हैं 35% उछले पिछले कुछ दिनों में।
यील्ड्स में बहुत बड़ा उछाल यहाँ पर आया।
ओके, तो थोड़ा वेदांता की डेट को लेकर अब आपके लिए सवाल उठते हुए दिख रहे हैं, ये कंसर्न आए हैं। देखते हैं वेदांता का मूवमेंट कैसा है।
Hi folks, welcome to Who Moved the Market. The market right now is moving actually on the south side. There's a lot of pressure going on out there, but we are going to be focusing on one specific stock because as usual, there's plenty of drama around this one. We are talking about Vedanta, or Nigel, hang on, are we talking about Vedanta Resources? Are we talking about Vedanta? It's all happening, right? At least the Indian listed stock is down 6-7%, and suddenly the D word, debt, default, D words are back on the screen. What's happening?
Well, that's all right, Surbhi. You know, Vedanta Limited is bearing the brunt because of Vedanta Resources' bond yield. So Vedanta Limited, that's the one that you are tracking on the NSE and BSE. That's the one under pressure. The share price is under pressure because the bond yields have spiked up as the bond prices have come down, and that's been the trend in the last few days. Just to give you a quick recap, you'll say that, hey, Vedanta Limited is not so leveraged, but we need to look at Vedanta Resources, and their only business, so to call it, is Vedanta Limited, you know, the one that they have majority stake out there. And in the next few years, you have more than $7 billion that come up for payment. So the street is a little bit sketchy because, you know, the chart comes up, you have around $900 million that is up for payment in the next 6 months or so, in the first half of FY24. So the street is sketchy whether or not they can come about that. And because the street is nervous, we have an inverse relation, right, between bond prices as well as the yields. So the yields have shot up by more than 40% odd because of these fears. So that explains why there is a doubt on whether or not the promoter entity will default on the debt that is due for payment, and that's why the share price here in India is reacting negatively.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at some of the yields that we're talking about, I mean, the graph will show about 6 different securities, but the ones where I think the spike was most apparent over the last couple of days and yesterday, there is a bond that is due for repayment in January of 24, but then there are bonds also due, I think, in August this year, in April this year. So I guess the worries are not that far in the future. Wouldn't that be right, Nigel?
Yeah, that's correct. You know, the near term payments has $900 million, as I said, 400 and $500 million. So they are a little bit sketchy on that. But somehow I think the street believes that the near term they'll get through. The problem is, you know, what happens, because it's close to around $2.5 to $3 billion that it will come up with in the next 15 months or so. So that's why the street is a little bit sketchy. But Surabhi, you will tell me, hey, the bond yields are moving up. Why are these prices under pressure?
The Indian prices.
The Indian prices. I'll tell you what, because the street fears that Vedanta promoter, they have a large holding in both Vedanta Limited as well as Hindustan Zinc. And bulk of their holding is pledged. For Vedanta Limited, almost all their holding is pledged. So they have pledged the shares and they have taken money against that.
And remind us, how much do they hold in these two Indian listed entities, Vedanta and Hindustan Zinc?
So in Vedanta, they have close to around 70% stake, 69.7% odd. And in Hindustan Zinc, they have roughly around 65% stake. Now, out of that 70% that they have in Vedanta Limited, almost 100% is pledged. And out of that 65% that they have in Hindustan Zinc, 88% is pledged.
Now that brings us to the twist in the tail and, you know, incoming Hindustan Zinc. Why is Hindustan Zinc such a key link in this story? Now, just to jog your memory, and you would remember this, and we've been seeing the back and forth between the Indian government, which is an important shareholder in Hindustan Zinc, and of course the Vedanta Group, which is the big majority shareholder there. Now, we remember, Nigel, that a couple of days back, the Indian government had put its foot down on a deal that was supposed to happen with Hindustan Zinc and its parent. Now, help us join the dots here. Why is that probably, you know, creating nervousness for the parent and therefore for listed Vedanta here?
So I'll tell you what, you know, Hindustan Zinc is the cash cow for the Vedanta Group. They have surplus cash and they're generating cash as well. So that's always been the prime asset for them. Now, with their Q3 results, Hindustan Zinc announced that they are going to be using the cash in their books, which is roughly around 12,000 crores. They're going to be using some part of that to buy Vedanta Limited's international zinc asset.
12,000 crores, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money that they have, but the amount that they're going to be paying is 24,000 crores because they're going to be buying it for close to $3 billion odd.
So they exhaust all of their cash and they pay more.
And they become net debt.
Wow.
So they go from a net cash company to a net debt company. But it was beneficial to Vedanta.
Because they get the money.
They get the money. They give the international zinc asset, which isn't that great, but it has a good outlook according to them. They shift that asset into Hindustan Zinc. The rationale is they say that let all Vedanta zinc assets remain under one umbrella. Okay. Now, where is the problem point? One is, as you said, from net cash they go to net debt. 12,000 crores is what they have. Gross value is close to around 15,000 crores, but still they're going to be paying 24,000 crores. So that's one point. The second point is that they're going to be paying, if you annualize the the first half of the year's earnings for international zinc, and you annualize it, so you double it, then at 24,000 crores, they're paying close to around 10 times. EV upon EBITDA. 10 times EV upon EBITDA, which is very, very expensive.
And that, I think, brings up the question of intent. What is the intent behind the deal? And I think that's what probably, you know, the government also raised in terms of concern. Is the intent really for Hindustan Zinc to have this lovely priced asset, or is the intent for the parent to get the money to pay its debt?
Right. You know, when they initially announced it, most on the street would have thought that, well, the government of India is on board. Because to give you a breakup, Vedanta Limited has 65% stake in Hindustan Zinc and 30% is held by the government of India.
Okay.
The government of India also has board representation. So when they announced this deal, everyone thought that maybe the government of India is on board. But the government of India said, hey, we are not on board. We don't want this cash to go out of your books. You find out some other way. You know, or if you want to consolidate these assets. And they've also mentioned, I think so, you know, they have said that they would like the company to explore cashless methods for acquisition of this asset. So government of India has asked Hindustan Zinc, you go back to the drawing board and you come out with another way with regard to this. But for now, we're not on board. If they were on board, then suddenly Vedanta Limited would get 24,000 crores and they would get rid of one asset. And then the 24,000 crores in all probability, they could, you know, pass it down to its shareholders, which every 100 rupees that goes out to the shareholders of dividend, 70 rupees goes to Vedanta Limited.
Yeah.
And then Vedanta Limited can service the debt of Vedanta Resources.
Pay off its debt.
Right. So, you know, so that's where the problem started. And if you look at it from the day the government of India put its foot down, from that day onwards, the bond yields have been moving up and the prices have been moving down.
Obviously, because I guess their whole idea of how to sort of bring in the money and pay off their, you know, the debt holders, basically the bond holders, there is a lot of, you know, a big question mark on that. So I guess it's obviously pretty important to see what Hindustan Zinc does next. That's going to be one important sort of trigger to watch out for. But if we leave this aside for a second, as you mentioned, Hindustan Zinc is a cash generating company. So they've been doing well. Vedanta otherwise is the business doing well. I'm just asking for people who are watching this, from a business standpoint, there's nothing to worry. It's just this overhang, right? Or is there something more?
You know, I'll tell you what, Hindustan Zinc, all those viewers who are watching, they can't be more than 3% of Hindustan Zinc shareholding. I'll tell you why. Government of India is 30%.
30%.
Vedanta 65%. So LIC is in there with 2%.
Oh.
So only 3% is in the market effectively. So that's why Hindustan Zinc, there's a scarcity premium. That's why it trades at elevated valuations. But let's focus on Vedanta. I know, Surbi, you know, when you go out shopping, something is cheap. It's cheap for a reason, right? So Vedanta Limited has always traded at a discount in comparison to other miners because you don't know what Mr. Agarwal is going to do. You don't know what the promoter entity is going to do. So valuation-wise, there's a lot of support. 3.5 to 3.7 times it trades at on forward EV upon EBITDA. There could be a risk to that EBITDA because of the global slowdown, but still at 3.5 times, 3.7 times for a global conglomerate of this size, well, it's very, very cheap. So valuations are on that side. We need to see how do they finance this debt. Either come up with the proceeds to, you know, service the debt or refinance it. And they have some kind of a borrowing limit with banks. So can they flex that? That's something we'll have to watch out for.
Absolutely. Well, just to sort of put this on the record as well, we did speak with the management of Hindustan Zinc a couple of days back when the government put its foot down and said, no, we don't agree with this deal. And you'll have the commentary obviously on your screens as well. At that point in time, the company's management was saying we'll work with all stakeholders, including minority stakeholders, including the government. And we'll, you know, we'll look at the best possible solution over there.
Yeah, that's a few days ago, Surbi. But in fact, I reached out to the Vedanta Resources management a couple of hours ago or so. And they came out with a response to us. They said there's no default. They're going to refinance it. They have cash in their books. They are sounding confident. None of the pledge shares will hit the market. So that's their stance as of now. And they've communicated to us here at CNBC TV, and that's exclusive information that we're getting for our viewers as well. So for now, they are saying there's no need to worry. The market is worrying because they doubt whether or not they can come up with the money. But I'll just tell you, it should be a quick solution. Hindustan Zinc has 11,000 crores of debt, 12,000 crores of debt, plus they'll be generating some money in quarter 4.
Cash.
It
has 12,000 crores of cash.
They have 12,000 crores of cash, and plus they'll be generating some money. They could just simply pay out one big dividend. And the near-term solution is met. The near-term solution is met because whatever they pay out, close to around 65% goes to Vedanta, and out of what Vedanta receives,
70% goes to the
how it
parent.
works. 100 rupees is what they pay out. 65 rupees goes to Vedanta Limited. Out of that 65 rupees, 70% of that, there is effectively 42 rupees goes to the parent. So every 100 rupees that comes in from Hindustan Zinc, 42 rupees, 43 rupees will go to the parent.
And then they can meet some of their obligations.
Near term.
I just
wonder. You live to fight another day. And that's been the motto, you know, for the last many years that I've tracked the company. They somehow come out with the goods. You know, it may not be beneficial for a shareholder perspective, mind you. You know, at times the shareholders don't take it very well. Because but somehow that debt, you know, the odds are high that it gets refinanced, finance. or they basically meet the obligation.
Reminds me of that movie, the Bond movie, Die Another Day, right? This is not happening today, Die Another Day. But I don't know, it's as we are wrapping this up on a lighter note, I wonder if Mr. Agarwal wants to take a leaf out of Mr. Adani's books. We know what they've been doing just to try and assuage concerns and nerves. They've gone ahead and made some prepayments ahead of time.
Yes.
I mean, payments ahead of time. Basically, they've done prepayments. Now, one of the bonds, as you said, is coming up in April. So I don't know if they can think of doing that. Make some payment ahead of time if you have the cash.
You know, and before we wind up, so just one more point is there's a problem with the current debt in the books, and they've also promised about that semiconductor plant.
Oh yeah.
So there's another
they
big
want to
sum
set
of
it up
money.
in Gujarat. Yeah.
There's another big sum of money that he has to come up with at the promoter end with some ways or means. So the street is doubting this. As it is, you're struggling for payments, you have ambitious plans. How can you do it? Maybe he can, but we'll have to stay tuned for that.
As they say, show me the money. All right, Nigel, great chatting with you as always. Thank you for making this easy for us to understand. Folks, hope you've found this productive and useful. We come here every day just around 2 o'clock. So let us know what you think. Feedback, comments, queries. Welcome as always. We will see you again tomorrow. Who moved the market? Right here on CNBC TV 18 News.
Information sources. Thanks for watching.